We have a major celebration in the world of strengths on Friday, I believe it was, or Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Saturday in the evening, officially hit 6 million people who now know their strengths.
16.
That's what I said.
6 is what you said.
16. Sorry, maybe I don't accentuate or articulate or what is the word?
10 more than 6 is how many people have.
Not exactly 10 million more than 6 million.
Yes.
Yeah. 6 million plus 10 million. Analytical's 1/24th. I have memorized my full 34 strengths. I don't know if I could repeat that. I don't want that. I don't want to be on there. Do you want that to be on there?
It's pretty impressive.
And so maybe it's my context in action.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I have memorized my full 34 strengths in order. It was just kind of random. I knew different strengths. When you'd say a number, I'd say, oh yeah, that's my whatever. Or you could say a theme, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's like my 23 or whatever. And so I made it an initiative a little while ago, and I memorized them, and within 10 minutes I had the list memorized. So I lead with context, adaptability, strategic learner, individualization, connectedness, ideation, intellection, empathy, and input. And then 11 is relator. 12 is achiever, 13 is self-assurance, 14 is arranger, 15 is positivity, 16 is developer, 17 is communication, 18 is belief, 19 is includer, 20 is activator, 21 is restorative, 22 is woo, 23 is maximizer, 24 is analytical, 25 is responsibility, 26 is command, 27 is focus, 28 is significance, 29 is harmony, 30 is competition, 31 is deliberative, 32 is consistency, 33 is futuristic, and 34 is discipline. There we go.
And I think my number 6 is achiever.
Yeah, it is.
I think. So.
It's connectedness, and number 7 is
achiever.
Individualization. I thought, no, you're right. Achiever, and then connectedness, then individualization is 8. You're 9. I know a lot of the other people's strengths too.
She'll say, where's competition for you? And I'm like, I don't know, and I have to go and look them up. So we were very lucky to learn our full 34 after we were able to take time really learning and exploring and owning our top 5. And if that's something that you're interested in doing, you can certainly go to the Gallup website and you can purchase that. We would recommend that you spend some time learning, knowing, owning, celebrating, naming, claiming, aiming your top 5 first before you take that dive into what's missing. For me, it was a long time of learning, and when I got that full 34 report, I went right to the back to see what I was missing. And I can tell you that what's really low for me. So by nature, we think about our top 5, but we also think about what's there at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you what's in between, but I can tell you some of the strengths that are low for me. Deliberative is low for me. Self-assurance is low for me. Harmony is low for me. Context is low for me. But then I also think about the people who are around me. We're often drawn to people who are different than we are, and we are often drawn to people who think differently than we do. So I think I'm drawn to your context because you know where I left my keys. You know where the handouts are. I mean, just in the total linear thinking that Tess does, it's such a gift to me because I'm just like, what? So today, what we thought we would do is just talk a little bit about that. I love that you memorized your 34 because it's just time spent on these 34. The hit parade is what Jerlene refers to them.
Love
the
it.
hit parade, she has known and memorized and owns those. I kept thinking, did you have memory cues? Did you have a song in your head like the ABCs? But I think because of your strengths, you see them in the first groupings.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so that's a life skill. When you're thinking about anything that you have to memorize, to be able to think that way, it naturally fits you based on your strengths. Mm-hmm. These are ways to take these 34 themes and turn them into a tool. We want to try some of these out today. I thought it was funny that we've utilized the Strengths and Hope cards just with each other. So we're kind of practicing what we encourage our mentors to do. So I'm going to grab one of these amazing questions from the first. These are 40 questions that aren't necessarily even strength-based. They're just kind of some conversation starters. So I'm going to start with one of these, and then I'll turn them over to Tess. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Ooh, that's a hard question because futuristic is 33. I don't know. Oh, we also have lightning.
Let's see.
That was
Let
divine.
me find one that honors your context. Name a time when you knew you were needed.
Okay, that's much better. Thank you.
See, that is so funny to me because I can right away go to what do I want to be when I grow up? I mean, just like that. But context is low for me. Futuristic is higher. But when I say name a time that you were needed, you can come up with that right away?
Yeah.
Okay. Name a time that you were needed.
I mean, about with as much difficulty, I think, as what do you want to be when you grow up? But I just very, very much dislike that question in general. Because I've always been asked that. And I don't think that your future, what do you want to be, is ever a fixed destination. But that's also my strengths. Futuristic is very much there's one fixed destination in the future that you see, one vision that you have,
Right.
and then you take steps and you change your circumstances to get there. Whereas I have high adaptability, which doesn't see the future as fixed, and I have high strategic, which sees all the possibilities. So the future for me is kind of this like black hole in which the picture of the future constantly changes based on what's going on now and what are all my options now in front of me. So
Totally the adaptability in the now.
yep. That's part of the longer definition, is the future is not a fixed destination for you. Yes, but so that's why I don't like that. I mean, I could go on and on about why I don't like that question. Opened up a whole bag of worms, you don't even know.
Would you like me to choose a different one?
I mean, you can.
Other than the name a time you knew you were needed?
I can answer that one.
Okay.
So the first thing that popped into my head was on this past Sunday, I'm really involved in my church and do a lot. I'm in grad school for theology right now in ministry, and so involved a lot in my church. And this past Sunday, one of our pastors that has been on mission for the last 2 weeks, she was coming back, supposed to come back, but ended up on her way back, getting on the flight 20 minutes after she flew out from Israel, got really sick. And then after recovering from that, like stomach bug, threw her back out.
Oh.
On Sunday morning. I was supposed to be at church and was supposed to be, helping run. And so I just, I wasn't asked to do anything. I wasn't sought out for anything, but I knew that there was vacancy of work, vacancy of people who, I never feel like I'm needed because people ask me, but because I know I have something I can contribute always. Like, you can always give your time. You can always do more to help out, especially on a Sunday where it's chaotic to begin with. We had another class going on while service was going on, and that class was for people who wanted to volunteer and become members. And so the main pastor was running that class, while church was also going on. So we didn't actually have a pastor in the sanctuary during church. And so it was this whole weird... just kind of weird Sunday because of this vacancy, and so I just kind of stepped up and did what was needed to be done.
Awesome. What strength would you say that is? Where's responsibility for you?
25. Very low. But I really think it was my strategic. I talk a lot about my strategic just in terms of leadership. I just kind of know what needs to get done because I have a large picture of all of the elements of what is going on, and so definitely that. And then I also think Relator's my number 11, and I've been with this church for a really long time, and I've built relationships, and so people know and understand my strengths and what I can do, and so they're really great about just giving me something or just letting me do it because they know that I've built relationship and rapport with them. So.
We've talked before about that strategic strength of yours being a blender strength, and how your strategic looks different than mine. But I feel like strategic can blend with all other 33. But when you described the big picture, and I know what needs to be done, context and strategic together say, I know this place.
Yep.
I know this layout. I know because I've seen it before, and because I know the path, and I know that I can help with that.
Yep. Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, thank you. A little too much, about me. No.
Never. That's not even a, no one should ever say that. That's
I know.
an untrue statement.
I know. I apologize. Ooh, here we go. What is the best gift that anyone has ever given you? Or you could answer it as what's the best gift you've ever given to someone?
I am very, very fortunate to have friends who are good listeners, who hear and pick up on things that I say, and the next thing you know, they'll be. I make this tiny, tiny reference. There are some things that come to mind right away. The first person who comes to mind who's really, really good at this is Tracy Drescher, who I hope is watching. She is so good at listening for who people are, and what makes them light up, what makes them excited. Being around someone like that is the coolest thing, because hope is contagious and passion is contagious, and you're just around someone who's like that. It's just like, yes. She has heard me share my unique awesome so many times that I'm sure she's probably like, oh, here it comes again. That card that we use in the new mentor training, I always use the same one. It's kind of my memorized intro. I use it for a reason, because it gives me the opportunity to talk about all these components to teammates without taking the time to talk about all these components to teammates. I just bring it into the introduction. So I always have the same name card. Tracy makes a name card, new one every time. Every time. And it's really, really amazing how they're themed together. But Tracy has given me a vinyl 45. She also gave me a rock. There are just things.
Can you explain the rock? Because it sounds. She also gave me a rock.
She gave me a rock. Well, it's in my car. We talk about the word of the year often, and one of the things that Tracy has picked up on is how we kind of, as an organization, have often talked about a word of the year. And Gigi started that for me. I had, and I don't have it on today, but I have my last year's word of the year on a bracelet that Gigi gave me, and Tracy saw it during training and said, wow, I love that. And it kind of went from there. So it's a beautiful stone that has a word on it that's very meaningful to me. But I think my dear friend Katie is really good at that, hearing things and picking up on things. One of my favorite pieces of jewelry, my friends Amber and Cass got me for my 40th birthday. They went to a jeweler and said, this is who she is, and the jeweler took that and it's the wire piece that has the turquoise stones in it. And so it's unique to me, and I think it honors my individualization. I like to have uniqueness. I am not a person who likes a lot of junk around. So if something doesn't have meaning to me, or if I haven't used it in the last year, it's gone. So the things that I have held on to really definitely have meaning to me.
So I love how you talked about your individualization, definitely. But I also wanted to point out the fact that most of your conversation revolved around the people, not the things that you got. And even though the question was the best gift anyone has ever gotten for you, and so that's very much I see your connectedness and the fact that everything has to have meaning, because that's very very strongly tied to connectedness, which is your number 7, I believe, and then just also relationships you've built, with people. And I think you share a lot of yourself right up front, and that's a characteristic of Woo. You share a lot of who you are with really anybody. And so you have been able to build a lot of relationships that are powerful and close.
My empathy wants people I want people to know they can be themselves wherever they are with me. And I try to show that in my eyes and my listening and my whatever. Just, it's okay to share whoever you are. Like when you said, share too much about myself. Never. Not at all. So what an awesome conversation we just had.
That was fun.
Gift giving is not a big thing for me. I'm kind of not a gifter or gifteree. Love languages. If you're not familiar with 5 love languages, wonderful tie into strengths. Words of affirmation and quality time are my love languages. So
it makes sense. Communication and and empathy.
Yes. goes well with that.
Definitely. That's cool. So the 5 love languages was written by Gary Chapman, and it's the idea of how you best give and receive love with another person. And so the 5 areas are quality time, words of affirmation, giving gifts, acts of service,
And touch.
and physical touch.
So if you haven't taken that super fun survey, it is free, and you can just go online and search it and find out your love language.
And have a conversation with a loved one about it and talk about how your strengths play into that. Either feed in and encourage those, or maybe sometimes come into discord with those as well.
Absolutely. When I look in the mirror, I don't see connectedness because I have a concept of connectedness in my head. And so I don't see it on me. I see it in Maury. I mean, it's just Maury's awesome strength. And so when I see connectedness or I hear connectedness, I think about Maury. So for me to see connectedness in the mirror, it does not happen. And so when you praise it and name it for me, you help me own it. You help me see it differently, but you also help me better understand connectedness because of the way that you see it in me.
Yeah.
And so all of these are like learning a new language. And if this was a word in German or Spanish, I can't know it until I can practice it and I can use it and I can see it. And so when you do that on my behalf, it helps me learn.
Cool. Okay, so let's learn more.
Okay.
Okay, so short definition, if you're not familiar with connectedness, is people especially talented in the connectedness theme have faith in the links between all things. They believe there are few coincidences and that almost every event has a reason. Which is so you. I don't understand how you don't see that. Okay.
Kind of.
Do you have a sense of purpose in life? What is it?
Oh. Yeah, I even have a mission statement somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
It's part of that high achiever. I would say my hope is that my purpose is for people to know their worth and for people to know the value of their story and for people to know how much they bring to the world simply by being themselves. And I think that's part of the reason that I love what I am able to do with Strengths. I love what we are able to do as an organization when we bring people together, because it's reminding an adult who sometimes doesn't have a whole lot of faith in their ability to make a difference, help them know that just by showing up and being who they are, that's really pretty awesome. So I would say that kind of feels like my purpose.
Yeah.
When you read the definition of connectedness, that's my story. I mean, that's my story.
Yep.
Being an adoptee, finding my family, my brothers and sisters, my huge family, my kids, my family dynamics. I mean, that's my story.
Yeah.
So I think connectedness rises for me because of my communication, honoring that.
Yep.
And a
Sharing
little
your
bit of that
story.
vulnerability. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I'm over.
Okay.
Do I get to choose, or would you? I would like for you to choose a strength you would like to talk about,
Oh, that's hard.
and it doesn't have to be in your top 5, as evidenced.
Yes. I want to talk about my intellection.
Yes.
I knew she wanted me to choose it.
Oh, fine. Say what you want, but I'm glad you chose it. Okay, intellection. Oh, I love this strength, and it's not one that I wish I had more of it. This to me is thoughtful thinker. This to me is a smart person, an educated person, a lifelong learner, someone who will take the time to say, I need to study this. I need to learn more about this. All right, people especially talented in the intellection theme are characterized by their intellectual activity. They are introspective and appreciate intellectual discussions. Totally described you.
Oh no, you have a sly look on your face.
Okay, I'm going to take the second question that's part of the first. I want to turn it around. Are you able to reserve time each week to think? And how do you do that? This is my favorite question about an election.
Yeah. Yeah, I take intentional time every day to stop and think. And this is a really good blend with my context.
Yes?
Because at the end of every day, I love to journal. which, is this sign of communication, but it's communication 17 for me. You don't have to,
Right.
have high communication to verbally process or process through writing, but I love to journal, and at the end of every day, I journal about 4 things. So, and I usually journal about the day and my thoughts and my feelings and whatever it is, but then I always end with these 4 bullet points. And I talk about the best part of my day. A highlight for the day. I talk about where I saw God in the day. I talk about an emotion I felt because I'm learning about how to recognize my own emotions more. Not being very in touch necessarily with my emotions. I'm trying to teach myself how to recognize where they're at. So I talk about an emotion and then the situation around that emotion. And then 4th, I talk about my strength in action I used for the day.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, so I believe that people with high intellection have beautiful handwriting. I'm not kidding. I think that I will find, Gallup, I will find the research to back this. The people I know who have high intellection have beautiful handwriting, and they do not scribble. Because they're thinking through.
Yeah.
I love that question, are you able to reserve time? Because one of the things I learned about intellection came from Gigi when she said, if I don't give myself time to think, my brain will wake me in the night and say, excuse me, haven't thought that through. Let's take some time now at 2 a.m. to think about that. I love that you journal about it. Okay, so you're going to love this. I know you don't watch the Golden Girls, but anytime something good happens to Rose, she'll say to the girls, I'm going to go and write that down in my journal. I'm going to go write down this accomplishment in my journal, and I love that. I'm going to send you a clip of that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the second part of the question. Are you able to reserve time each week to think, and how? And then the first question tied together is, what have you been thinking about?
No, don't talk about that. That's hard.
You can keep it general.
Yeah.
Oh, it leads into what big ideas.
Okay. I think something that I have struggled a lot with my own strengths is because I am introspective and I'm constantly thinking and processing. If I don't have someone ask me that, I won't even necessarily register what I'm thinking about.
Do you see themes in your journal?
Yeah,
Consistent?
I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you look back?
Definitely.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course I look back. It's the first part, very first sentence of the context definition, my number 1. And yeah, I think that's the hard part about it though, but that also is individual to the person because I do process verbally as well, and so which is a characteristic of my high individualization. But even when you ask me that, I'm talking now because I'm even trying to process through it now. Because I need time, it won't just come out like that.
So this is one of my favorite parts of you, is the way you respond when people like me think out loud. You do a, I mean, it's not like you're checked out. I know you're there, but she's going to feel it right now. Or you say, interesting.
Yeah.
And I know you're thinking about it, but you may need to store it and go back to it later. And oftentimes you'll come back to me later. It's different than deliberative. I've stored this. I would like to revisit it when I have my journal, when I have my thinking tools. I will come back to that, and then I'll come back to you and tell you what I think about it, which is different than deliberative because it doesn't necessarily mean a time frame. It just means, oh, my thinking tools aren't here right now. I'd prefer to get my thinking tools, and then I'll revisit that. But you're storing it.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting. I'm now I'm going to be so aware whenever I respond to you.
don't worry,
In
I don't know you
conversation.
very well or anything.
No, not at all.
So I think I love that you have thinking tools, and that they so honor who you are. Did you have those thinking tools when you were younger? Did intellection ever creep into 10-year-old Tess's brain? And was it troubling ever?
I think for me, I think the way I reflect back on intellection is the fact that I've always just been told, and this isn't a here's me, yay Tess, but I've just always been kind of a really wise soul, like an old soul.
Yes.
And so I have always been able to engage in conversation with people that are much older than me. I've wanted to have desired that more than talking about anything that's like silly or ridiculous or, you know, whatever it may be, that I just desire intellectual partners that are at the same kind of level of intellection as I am. And so I would much prefer to talk with my professors about something than my fellow classmates, you know. And even, I mean, I can think back to when I was, you know, 10 years older, when I was in junior high. I get along so much better with people that are much older than me. And that's, like one of my best friends, she is 63 years old. Her name's Linda. I go to church with her, and we just, you know, can talk about everything and anything. And that's just, you know, she is 40 years older than me.
Right.
You know, I'm
Right.
23, she's 63. Like, there's, you know, she could be my grandmother, the same age as my grandmother, but we just engage in conversation so well because, and I also have had a gamut of life experiences that have forced me to kind of grow up
Right.
pretty easily and pretty quickly. And so I think that would, to me, that would be what maybe intellection looked like when I was younger. I don't know about specific thinking tools. I think one of my greatest thinking tools is just other people. I do enjoy verbally processing it, and especially coupled with my learner, I have a really high learner. I remember and recall things so much better when I can apply it and help someone else in their life by applying what I've learned.
Okay.
So,
Which is what you did with my connectedness.
yeah. A big thing for me, I think, in learning and claiming my intellection is when I found something I was really passionate about studying. That in school, I mean, and I love school and I have high learner too, so these blend together really well, but in high school, because there were so many, you know, you took everything, you know, and I was good at all of school because I have high learner and can retain a lot of information with my context really easily. I didn't have to work hard for a subject at all, but it really, I think this light bulb went on in terms of formal education when I was in college, and I found a discipline that I loved to study.
Right.
Because studying then wasn't just I'm doing the required reading and the required assignments, but it led to conversations that happen outside of the classroom.
Yes.
That this is what I'm
Intellectual
learning.
conversations.
Yes, with like-minded people.
Yes.
That this is, I love learning about this sociological theory, about this anthropological study that happened,
Right.
or here's what, you know, I learned from Kant, or whatever it was that I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I love this. And it's going to be different for each individual person. But when I found that discipline that I love to study, that, you know, just ramped up, I think, so much more because it led and it fed my other strengths, but then it also led to learning that was happening inside of the classroom to happen and kind of transfer
Yes.
outside of the classroom.
Right. Awesome.
Cool.
So we love these cards because this is what they're intended to do. This is meant to just further those conversations. Now, these are pretty simple. They're pretty lightweight. They don't require a lot out of you. They don't require online access. You can use these anywhere. You can use these in your mentoring time. You can use these in the car. You can use I would rather talk about strengths other than what the weather is. A lot of our chapters have, for every mentor, some chapters have this in the sign-in book. I think these are a great way to further conversations. You can also grab a few of these questions. And so instead of saying, how was your day? Take a look at this. I mean, what an awesome question for Achiever. What do you feel a sense of urgency about this week? Hannah, what spurs you to take action quickly? You know, these kinds of things. Where she's going like, wrap it up. girl.
wrap it up, come on.
So these are, we wanted to show you what it's like. We wanted to give a actual visual practice in how we can use these to further those strength-based conversations and build on more strengths awareness.
Should we do these another time?
I think we should,
I think
because
so
those
as
are
well.
really good.
Those are
Really good.
Each to his own.
And it gives a great opportunity for us to future cast and help you be excited about the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.